Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now, as you can see here, got a Nitrous Outlet kit. This is for our work over on full boost, but something a bit different than what we normally do on full boost. So I want to do a bit of an unboxing and a bit of information on what all the individual components here were in the kit, how you use them and why you might use them. So let's take a closer look at it now. Alright, so the first and obviously, well, most important part of the nitro system is the bottle, the pressurized bottle. So this is capable of holding in excess of sort of 1500 psi. However, nitrous should be at, the bottle pressure should be at about 900, 950 psi to work properly. If it exceeds, I think if it exceeds about 1500 psi, there is a safety mechanism through this fitting here that we'll talk about later that enables all that bottle pressure to be vented out externally so you don't have a bottle explosion. This bottle here is just your run-of-the-mill, as you can see there, 10-pound bottle, so Nitrous Outlet 10-pound bottle. However, this bottle is actually equipped with a billet Nitrous Outlet high-flow valve as well. So one thing also you need to know when you're mounting your nitrous bottle is that inside of here, there's actually a tube. So if you can imagine, this tube here connects to that is what they call a siphon tube, and the tube goes off and sits at an angle. And that's important because when you're mounting the bottle, you should mount it, essentially somewhat like this. Or if you have to stand it up vertically, you want the label facing the front of your vehicle, so that siphon tube that sits back this way, when the G-forces of your car launching push all the nitrous back this way, the nitrous pickup is still here and be able to pick that up. So just a tip, when you're installing a nitrous bottle, it's just not a case of just throwing it in. There is some tech to that as well. So moving on from the bottle, we have our solenoids. So these are both fuel ones. We've got a different one there because this is going to run alcohol as well. So if you're going to run alcohol fuels, you may need a bigger orifice solenoid or ones that have special kinds of rubber in them. So that's why we've got those. We've also then got the nitrous solenoid. We've got some fittings. I think these are 1/4 inch NPT. This is 3/8 NPT. We've got our nitrous universal wet fogger. Wet because it's also got its own fuel source. And this style of fogger from Nitrous Outlet is pretty cool because it actually comes with a nut and a locating thing, so you can actually install it. You don't have to weld or tap any fittings. You can just drill a hole and use this retaining nut to hold it in place. So that's cool. T-piece to get your fuel, and then we've got nitrous to go from the solenoid to the fogger, and then we've got 2 fuel hoses. So one of the fuel hoses will be from your external source, wherever that is, from the T-piece inner line, and then the other one goes from your solenoid to your fogger. So that part of the installation kit is for, I guess, getting the fuel and the nitrous into the engine. This part of the installation kit is for mounting the bottle and the wiring for the whole nitrous kit too. So we've got 2 big, beefy, heavy-duty bottle brackets to mount that to the chassis. We then have a relay and some wires, also an on-off switch and a micro switch. Now, what a micro switch does is turns on and off dependent on, well, whatever activates on this switch here. So what we would normally do is you'll put that on your throttle body, and then once you go to 100% throttle, that closes this switch over, and if you can hear a click, that turns the relay on and activates the nitrous. So while this switch may turn the bottle heater and the solenoids on, or the relay to the main power for the solenoids won't actually get a signal until this micro switch triggers. So micro switch being on, nitrous is flowing. Micro switch off, no nitrous. Simple as that. So also comes with a really, really, really long nitrous feed line. So that is to go from the bottle all the way up to the solenoid. So next is the bottle blanket. This is a thermostat control blanket here. So you can see there, wrap around. You can see some wires coming out of it. What this does is you wrap this around the bottle and it will heat the bottle because that is how you build bottle pressure. So it heats the bottle so it gets the correct pressure you need it to, and then it will switch the power off to this and switch it back on to maintain around that 900, 950 psi pressure that you need the nitrous bottle to be at. So when you tune up your nitrous on the dyno, it'll be at 900, 950 whatever psi. If you then go to the racetrack and you have, say, 700 psi bottle pressure, the tune-up will be way off and it just won't work properly. So this is to make sure that when you're using the nitrous, it's consistent all the time, every time. So you need that. So what you can see here is the wiring switch that is for nitrous pressure. So you'll screw that into the bottle somewhere. And just at the back here is a little Allen key. You might not be able to see where the wires are. This is actually an adjustable switch. So you can adjust this to whatever nitrous pressure you want. So say you've had your tune-up around 850 psi for some reason, you can adjust this to turn off at that 850 psi to maintain the bottle at that 850. So if you're at 950, hey, adjust it again so it's at 950. So great little easy basic switch on, switch off tool for that. Now these two pieces go together. This is what's called a blowdown tube, because what happens in the event of, for some reason, this having a failure or something happens, it's left in the sun, or for whatever reason, bottle pressure really exceeds what it should. This little burst off plate here, you can see there, nitrous outlet X pressure. What happens is this disc right here, it ruptures, and then this attaches to this. The nitrous pressure that's in the bottle is allowed to vent out, and it vents out here external of the cabin, and just vents all that excess nitrous out of the bottle so there's no explosion. So the bottle won't rupture and burst and blow up. It'll just vent all your nitrous out, and then you just replace that little disc again, and then away you go. So these are a requirement in IHRA, NHRA, ANDRA, whatever, if you have a nitrous bottle mounted in your car. So you must have one of these kits if you've got a bottle mounted in your car. So make sure you pick that up if it's not already a part of your kit. And the last part is just some installation parts. So you got here gauges. So gauge like this is just a really quick way to identify what your bottle pressure's at. And the easiest way to install those gauges is just with these kind of swivel fittings here. So now, last but not least, of course, is the obligatory purge kit, because, well, as we all know, you're not really a nitrous dude if you're not purging gallons and gallons of nitrous out at the start line. So that's what this kit does. So it basically sits in line with the solenoid. So this T-piece will sit just before this from the bottle. So the bottle, this line will run all the way from the bottle up to this solenoid. And what happens is this little T-piece here will intersect that, and then off that you'll run to your other solenoid, and then this steel hard line just mounts wherever you want. And then that is how you vent your nitrous. Because what happens when you're in the staging lanes and all that kind of stuff, heat soak, the nitrous that's in this really long line can turn into, I guess, change state, and it won't be as effective as when it's a liquid under pressure. So all you're doing is venting off that line to get rid of the nitrous that's changed state, to make sure that it's all under pressure and ready to go. So purge kit's really good for guys. They're absolutely mandatory for guys with big horsepower nitrous setups. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is try to give you an overview of how everything works together here. So if we start here at the nitrous bottle, what you might do is this gauge port here will actually have a nitrous gauge, and that will actually say what the bottle pressure is. Now, based on what the bottle pressure is, should be set by this here, which is your blanket. So obviously you've got your wires here, and they'll be triggered by your nitrous pressure or your switch. So hopefully you've already had power running to this system, as it comes with its own standalone wiring system you can see here. So you'd have that switched on before you get to the staging lanes. Once you see here your bottle pressure is where it needs to be. All right, so you open the bottle, nitrous flows through here all the way, and it comes here and stops here at this solenoid. At the same time, you've got your fuel running through your normal fuel line, T-piece off this, fuel runs through here, stops at your fuel solenoid. Now, when you're in the staging lanes, all the nitrous that's sitting here basically could be changing pressure, changing state. You want to get rid of some of the nitrous in this line. You want the nitrous coming from the bottle to being at that hit when you hit the throttle. So you have your purge solenoid. So the purge solenoid T-piece is in here. A line will run through, imaginary line here, runs through here to here. Activate it with a button, get a push button, purge, 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 and nitrous will come out of this, out of the vent, into the atmosphere. So now you're in the staging lanes, you're ready to go, and yeah, it's just a case of making sure that the entire system is armed, and then when you hit 100% throttle, that micro switch will click on, and then bang, this solenoid opens, and that's when you get nitrous and fuel coming out of this here. And how much comes out of there depends completely on what's in here. And this little orifice here, this is known as a jet. So depending on how big or small this jet is, depends on how much fuel and nitrous flows through here. So that's essentially how the system works. Now, in the event of excessive nitrous pressure in the bottle, like I said before, this little disc will rupture. This tube will sit here somehow, and then, yeah, it'll blow off, run through here, and then escape the cabin as well to keep you safe. So that's pretty much how the system works. Now, well, you're going to put this in the car and have some fun with it, and you'll see that over on full boost. Alright, so that's it for a quick tech video here. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to subscribe, share this content. If you've got any questions, more questions about nitrous stuff, put it down in the comments or head over to Nitrous Outlet and yeah, check out their stuff. Until next time, but I'll see you later, and I'll see you over on full boost.